There it is. Perfect. You handled that perfectly.
Okay.
Really, really good follow through. Notice she really persisted, right? Just like we saw yesterday at the door, right? More intense, obviously, because it's the fence line. We know that's where it's worse for her. But you followed through. You stayed really, really calm, and you got her back into position. That was fantastic how you handled that.
I have to show you a picture of her this morning with the snow.
Was she loving it? No. The sliver of grass. Beautiful, much better. Yeah, if you don't mind.
We're gonna go out.
Very nice. Much better. Good job. I'll have you stay there next to her for the first one or two, and then we'll work on dropping the leash to be able to do it. And I'll grab a dog really quick. Gus, down. You guys just gonna stare at each other?
This is a fun day.
Look at her, she's getting all flirty. Gus, come. Very good. Down.
Honey, you know? Sit.
Very nice.
Confuse me, see what hanging out.
But in that context, you could say like, oh, well, she didn't technically break her sit, but this is a good caveat to actually run into where, but we don't necessarily want her engaging with distractions when she's in a command. So even though she didn't technically break the command, I would say my full definition of it is that even if you're technically in the command, if you're like trying to engage and your attention has completely shifted off of me onto that, still correction worthy. Because you think of like practical settings where something like that could happen, like an elevator or, you know, stuff like that where you're close quarters with other dogs where they might be right near her, but that doesn't mean we really want her like trying to engage at that moment, you know? Very nice. Come. Waffles down. Come. It's like a little cinnamon roll. Come. Very good. Come. The reason why we stay out of everything is just because we want the dogs to really focus on each other and socializing, and once you start engaging with them, then they just want to hang out with the people the whole time. And because certain dogs can get kind of possessive over affection. So if you start petting one dog and then another dog approaches, they could start guarding you as like, no, this is my human, go away. So we try to remove anything that could cause like competition. So that could be petting, could be toys, could be food. We just keep it strictly just the dogs. And like in settings with dogs where the size difference is drastic, if say for instance, like they're playing and it's very reciprocal and he's having a good time, cool. If he corrects her and then she persists and goes back and doesn't really listen to the correction, then you can correct. So basically just amplify what the other dog is saying. Just because obviously if it's equal size or larger, we'll tend to let it play out longer because there's not that risk where the dog could like get injured potentially, right? But like with such a drastic bigger to smaller, if he's saying I've had enough and she's persisting, then we'll just kind of set that boundary real quick and firm of like, hey, the little dog said enough type of thing. And because he's like willing to play with her, but he has like certain things that he doesn't like when she gets a little bit too intense, you can see she's starting to like adapt her play style a little bit to like accommodate the stuff that he's good with, which is good for her to learn how to do at a young age.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to our channel. Hi guys, it's Bridget with Miracle Canine, and I'm here with our new board and train Maya. Maya's been with us for a little less than 48 hours, and her owner did not think that she could be trained. She was totally convinced that Maya was untrainable due to her extreme anxiety. And as you can see here, just sitting on the bed is producing a lot of anxiety for her. We are just working her through the initial couple of days, and we're starting to see a little aversion to floors and the different textures of floors. It makes her really nervous, as well as she's a huge bolter and a huge flight risk. Actually, before her board and train, she actually ran away. So her owner swiftly got her, but she left the car door open, and once Maya saw that car door open, she was off. So today we're just gonna go over a little bit of success at thresholds, and I just wanna discuss the importance of how necessary it is to teach your dog that they do not go out the door with you, and just because a door is open does not mean that they can bolt out. This is my #1 safety rule, and the best advice I can give you is work on those doorways and those thresholds. So when we're starting thresholds, I want to just drill out and gauge where the dog is at when the door opens. So I'm not going to ask her to get into a sit. I'm not going to try to prevent her from going out the door. I want to see what her natural response is to when this door is swung open. And I'm not going to do anything to prevent her from doing it in the first couple reps. And I'm just going to pull her back through with a little light pressure. And you can very much see that when the door's open, she's like, well, I'm just gonna go. And if she were not attached to a leash, I can very much see her running off, maybe running toward the streets, which can be very dangerous. So we definitely want to communicate to her that she has to wait with us. No. I'm going to be giving a little bit of a correction when she does go through the doorway. And by correction, the method that we are using right now is a little bit of a prong pop, meaning I'm kind of just doing a flick of the wrist toward myself when she goes through the door. So she is understanding that there is a consequence for rushing through. I'm going to get her to go back in, and we're going to start over. Go ahead. Some food? No. Good. Okay. Come on, girl. It's best to practice on both sides of the door, so whether you are going for a walk or coming home from a walk, you're still enforcing the same boundaries. Okay. We'll even close this. Good girl. Okay. Good job, Maya. So next we're gonna add a sit into the process. So I'm still going up to the door. I'm going to open that first to make sure she doesn't bolt out. And then I'm going to give her that sit command, and I'm going to expect her to sit before we exit. Once we are ready to exit, I'm going to mark with, or release with okay, and we're gonna go through together. Sit. Good. Okay. Sit. Good. Okay. Good job. Maya, sit. Good. Okay. Good job, Maya. So as we were demonstrating a little bit of the doorway drills, I definitely suggest making that a habit with you and your dog, whether you're going out for a walk or going to an appointment somewhere. Just having your dog get in the mindset that that door is off limits until you release them with your verbal cue. It will save you a lot of trouble with, especially if you have a flighty dog, or when guests come over, not having to be an eagle eye around who's opening the door and what's happening, because we've put in the steps to help the dog just understand a little bit more about the threshold boundaries. As far as like the barking or behavioral things in the house, like barking, has that been manageable, or do you feel like he's still really barking at noises and things like?
The past couple nights, I will say, like I haven't had a lot of barking issues.
Okay.
The rain,
Yeah.
I don't know, like he will wake up out of bed, sleep, and start yapping. I'm like, dude, there's nothing out there.
Sure.
Like, and I'll take him out. I think you're just getting used to hearing rain in the house. But it was hilarious because like the night before, barking like crazy at the rain. Eventually fell asleep. Last night we had like thunder and lightning storm. I don't know if you guys got out this way or if you're on the east side, but right off the lake was loud. Maybe he was tired from all the work in the football field and then with my mom's dog.
Yeah.
The thunder, nothing, no barks at that, but then middle of the night right before bed, the raining, like.
You said barking, like when people come into the door, is that an issue? Like if the UPS man is coming to the door, FedEx?
If he can see them,
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
If someone knocks, he obviously barks, which I'm fine with.
Sure.
He did, like, I had the front door open, and he could see out the glass, like an Amazon girl came, and he, like, scared her, I had to get her back to the bed, and that type of thing.
Okay. Well, this week, like, when you go home with him, I would just focus on correcting the barking before giving the bed command. Okay. So sometimes we get into the trap of trying to manage the dog through the commands. And yes, there's a time and place to use our commands, but if he's barking and we hear him like going nuts at the door, I want you to take a moment and correct him on that pretty firmly. So he's realizing the barking itself is what he's being corrected for. Then after that, if you want to go ahead and put him on the bed, go for it. But I just want to pinpoint exactly what behaviors we're trying to eliminate. So I instantly start to shift toward really focusing on the barking. Even if we like that he's barking to like scare people away, I don't want him to feel like that's his job and that he has to do it because we're not. He's like, I got to protect the house. It's just ultimately an unhealthy mindset. And correcting the barking when we're home is not going to mean that like if an intruder came in, he's not going to protect you. It's just a good way to start settling that mind so he's not so in this territorial mindset and just so anxious in the house. So I work on that. And then you can send him to the bed afterwards after you felt like the barking has been done. But you were right, like he was on the bed. You said that you weren't correcting him because he was technically on the bed. So then we run into the trap and we're like, I mean, you're on the bed, so I don't want to give you a correction.
That is one thing we talk about too, like getting him used to the lead and going in the yard and understanding we're just going outside to go potty.
Oh yeah.
He's done really well at that. And
Awesome.
The change did come when Frankie was watching him. It was Frankie's like, he went right out, like it was the first time he actually pooped on the lead versus having to be like a little walk first and that type of thing. And since then he's been really great with
Awesome. I think like we get in the habit of like when you first got him and had him home, you're like, I'll just take him for a little walk to see him if he goes to the bathroom, and then we don't spend enough time in the yard. And then he's like, I need to go for a walk to go to the bathroom. And then when we can make the habit, like you're gonna go to the bathroom in the yard, and then if you don't, you're gonna go back in your crate, we'll take you back out in a little bit. That starts to have him be like almost forced to go in the backyard. Once he's like, oh, I can go in the backyard, then we don't have to be like dependent on walking him for him to go to the bathroom. Let Mr. Chill Guy over here. He's looking great. Spiky, Spiky, Spiky. Hi, bud. Beautiful. Nice. Awesome. Beautiful, buddy. Hi. Hi. What's in here? Oh my goodness. Nice, buddy. Go ahead and release him. Nice. That looks really good. So you said typically that is the response you get where he's able to come to you and kind of stabilize.
And I usually don't correct him, like, to that, like, I did not remember if he was to walk
Sure.
away from me.
Yes.
If I get him to initially come,
Yeah.
I have not been correcting him, so that will be helpful.
Yeah.
And then if I want him to, like we will be out of that, the lead in the backyard. So I'll have him come, and then I'll reiterate, come, and we'll walk around together.
Yes.
Try to keep him within, like, 4 feet of my side. He usually stays pretty close. Once he goes about a leash length off kilter,
Yeah.
I'll correct him, and he'll come right back to me. But
Sure.
should I do, like, if he sits down after I initially call him, should I release him then come, or just come and pat my side and
Yeah.
just walk?
So when we say come to him, like I want to see initially that he comes to us and we're pausing, and then he has a moment to stabilize. So one thing I've noticed with him, we talked about in the board and train, is he does a lot of spinning around you. So I'm waiting to the moment that he either naturally lays down or just stops moving and he's with us. And then when we get to that point and I'm ready to start going again, you're walking around your yard, I would just, I'll take the remote from you. So I can tell him like, Spike, come. And wait for him to stabilize. And just let him do the initial command first. And if I'm looking to start moving, I'm just going to reiterate, come to him. Come. And then now I would like him where I can reach down and touch him. No, come. At any given point, because it's technically the heel or come, whatever you want to call it, we say heel or we say come. So if we're walking and we feel like he's pulling even a leash length away, I do want to tell him no and tighten it up a little bit, because I kind of want to feel like I can rest my hand on his back. So if we ever needed, we're in a situation we needed to leash him back up, that he's right there. And then I'll just do an example with the leash too, because you said you put him on the long lead, right?
Yeah, I'm right back.
Okay. Come. So I kind of want to keep my leash nice and loose, and if I'm feeling him start to put tension on it, that's another indicator that we can tell him no and give him a correction. And so until we say, okay, then I am expecting him to follow us. If I do stop for a moment, and I'm asking him to follow me again, just to clarify, I'll repeat the come and have him start moving with me. I'm just gonna start walking him around, and I'm gonna correct him if he makes any movement toward any of the kennels, and we'll start that way, and then we'll slowly get some other dogs out here. Good. So any movement toward other dogs, like even just trailing off a couple of steps, I'm being very firm on him for going to seek that out. Come. Just so he's sticking with us, like walking back, walking through dogs. Good. Good. Good job. Come. You can see he's a lot more disengaged. There's no more trying to sniff through the kennel, just because we've set the precedent that we're asking him to stay with us and focus with us. And it can be difficult in the moment because it can look very subtle. And then we're like, do we technically correct you because you just took 2 steps? But I want to see once that focus starts going over and he's like even taking a step, to mark with no and give him the correction then. I'm going to have you take him over. I have him set quite high. I'm going to bring another dog out and I'll go over there and we'll kind of walk by each other and start to get a little bit closer and closer each time. So again, to reiterate, if he makes even a little bit of movement, mark with no, give him the correction, stop for a moment, and then reiterate, come, and then keep going. And I'm gonna have you take some snacks too. When he successfully passes the dog and doesn't make any movement, mark with good and give him a reward. Excellent. Excellent. And it's okay if he's slightly kind of going over to the other side. He's just trying to completely avoid the mistake. Yes, we can guide him over.
Slight look is okay, but it makes sense,
Yes.
right?
Yep, so we're looking for movement, which means that he's more committed to making the decision to leave your bubble to go check out the other dog. Looking, I don't have a problem with. Pass really close. Good job, buddy. What? We're gonna run next to you. Come on, Astro. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. Excellent. So when we're outside, obviously we're inside, so things might be a little bit different, but that's just the general principle of how I would handle it. When we start to see a dog, it can be very natural for us to like look at what that dog's doing, how close that dog's coming, and then we stop focusing on our dog. I just want you to keep a safe amount of distance at this time. Like obviously don't go as close as we're going right now, but I want you to keep an eye on him and see, is he making any of that movement where he's kind of veering off. Again, if he's walking with you and he's kind of giving a side eye, that's okay. But I want to see, is he going over to the other dog? And then giving him a pretty firm correction for that. So we had him up at almost 100 for that exercise. And that's how I want you to go into it. Outside, it's going to be a lot more stimulating. There's going to be a lot more arousal out there. So it's important to get on him immediately and firmly. So ultimately, we can see that behavior stop and we don't have to correct for it long term. So whether he's out and there's another dog, bike, squirrel, he's with you. You can use a little food in that exercise too. So when he passes the other dog successfully, he's hearing that marker and he's getting a positive, he's being positively reinforced, but also having the consequences. Okay.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Prepared.
Sure. You see how much his focus has shifted from what's going on around him back to you? Because he's more motivated by the consequence and he's receiving that treat. Gus, down.
Dude, you gotta turn.
I just want to work on him with some of the turning next, just to clean it up a little bit, because inside the other facility too, he was doing a little bumping. Spike, come. So as I'm making my left turns, I'm just going to give him correction if he really bumps into me here, and I'm going to use a little bit of my leg to guide him out of my direct space, just so he's not tripping on me. And that he's cognizant enough of if we are making that left turn or right turn. Because he can really trip you and make you fall on the ground, can't he?
Yeah.
And I want to do less trying to manage with my leash. So if he is bumping into me, I don't want to like choke up on the leash here. I still want my leash to be nice and loose. Good job. And have him kind of heed to my space rather than us having to constantly adjust to hit where he is positionally. Good job, buddy. And then he kind of ends up giving me a little bit more space, where he's still in the heel position, but he's not right on top of me. Good. Nice. And he's so much more engaged with you now, like he's checking to see which direction you're going in.
Good job. That's a great job.
Perfect. Looks great. Excellent. How does that feel?
So much better.
Better? Okay.
I was constantly concerned I was either going to step on him
Yes,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
constantly having to nudge him.
It can be like a little confusing once we're like, well, we want him to come to us and we want him to stick by us, but he's too close at some point. So because he has a proficient enough understanding of what come means, we've very clearly seen that, we can start to clean it up a little bit and kind of push it back in our space a bit. And he's so much more, as you're making those left turns, he's like looking to you and he's like, all right, we're turning now. As opposed to him like crashing because he kind of wants to look at the other dog and then he doesn't realize like spatially where he is. Looks great.
Good job, bud.
Did you happen to by chance bring any treats out with you?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Great.
Mhm.
So you don't have to do anything with them yet, but if that dog comes out and she holds the downstay on the bed and she doesn't break it, you could go ahead and reward her for that.
Yes, please. So if she doesn't break it, go ahead and reward her.
If she does not break it, mark with good, and then yeah, give her a reward for that. So if that dog's out, I can't tell if he's holding it or not. You can go ahead and reward right now.
I can what?
Yeah, go ahead and, well, let's see what she does here. There you go. Go ahead and tell her good and go give her a reward. Beautiful.
he hasn't realized I'm here yet.
Can you hear me still?
Yes, as long as I
Okay.
lean into the phone.
Yeah, you're fine. So we're just going to hang out now for a little bit. Obviously, you can tell she's pretty fixated on the dog, but she's holding it fine. So what we're doing now is we're going to wait for the second she breaks fixation away from that dog. So whenever she looks anywhere except at the dog, and then you're going to reward her again for that.
Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
Can you see her full body shaking?
Yeah. Yeah, don't
Okay.
worry about that. She just really wants to get up.
Oh, I know. I've just never
Yeah.
seen her shake quite that much in that long.
Yeah, but she's doing well right now. So we'll see obviously once we bring the other dogs out. But what I want you to do right now is just keep hanging out next to her. And anytime she looks away from that dog, just keep rewarding right now.
Okay. And you said bring out the other ones or no?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
We're going to do another minute or so with this. I think so. So does he just have one of the dogs out right now?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's fine. So far we've done the easiest one and the second easiest one, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and have him put this one away and bring the hardest one out.
So if she does go after him,
Mhm.
do I drag her back to the bed after I say no and hit the thing and then tell her down? Or
We
how
want-
does that?
We want to see her disengage on her own. So don't pull on your leash. You would just continue correcting and giving the bed command after the correction until you got her back to it.
Okay, even though I'm not taking her back to it.
Correct. Yeah, she needs to get herself back to it.
Okay.
And then same deal, really heavy with the rewards when she's doing well. Yeah, that's what we'll do next. He's great. I mean, it shows he's capable of it, you know. It's not too far gone.
No, play.
it is. Perfect.
Yes.
Nice.
Down. No. Down.
Perfect. You handled that perfectly.
Okay.
Really, really good follow through. Notice she really persisted, right? Just like we saw yesterday at the door, right? More intense, obviously, because it's the fence line. We know that's where it's worse for her. But you followed through. You stayed really, really calm, and you got her back into position. That was fantastic how you handled that. And now notice her whole body language is shifted away from the dog, right? She's still looking, but she's not as forward, right? So that's fantastic. You handled that perfectly.
Okay.
So we'll let her chill for another minute here, make sure that she stays there. And then the next test we're going to have is we're going to have him bring all 3 dogs out. Before you have him bring the rest of the dogs out, if you don't already, get some more treats. I want to make sure you're fully stocked up because all this attention she's giving you right now, I want you rewarding the crap out of that right now.
It's never this quiet or easy out here, I swear.
This is fantastic. She's doing really, really good right now. I mean, you could tell she definitely learned her lesson from that right there. And now she got all attention on you.
Good girl. That's what I brought out the good treats. She just wants to
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, honestly, in these situations, obviously, we want to be very firm with our corrections, but very, very rewarding with the rewards. Looks really good. Okay. All right. So the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to release her to be free in the yard with the expectation that she just doesn't react at the fence line. So what you could do is you could just tell her, okay, I don't actually want you to hold the leash or anything. Let her go where she wants to go, do what she wants to do. And any nonsense at the fence line, you're just going to follow through with your correction until you get her to disengage from the fence line, just like we did inside of the house at the window.
Good job.
Don't force her to go anywhere. Right now, she's free, obviously. So if she just stays away from that fence line, which is probably what she'll do because she got corrected for it, that is 100% fine.
She's just hanging out with me after she tried to eat all the treats.
I love it. That is just perfectly fine. Now let's do this. Why don't you go ahead and hold the phone, and you could yourself walk over to the fence line, but don't make her come with you or anything. I just want to see what she does. Wow, look at that.
Might be because she's on the other side of the bed too. Sometimes she won't even try to attempt to go over any type of barrier.
Fine.
No matter
But
how tiny.
generally, whether that bed is there or not, though, if she wanted to react at that fence, I'm sure she probably would, though, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So whatever, if she's being so focused right now that she's mindful of the fact that the bed is there, like, I'll take it. All right. Well, if you want, you can go ahead and grab her. We'll go inside and just kind of talk about this for a minute.
All right. Ready, pretty girl? Come on.
Well, how do you think that went?
Way better than it ever has out there.
Okay, good. That's
A
what I
little
like to hear.
frustrating that it's way better than it has been.
Yeah, right? Oh, yeah.
Sassy,
Okay.
the most offensive, though. So.
Yeah, right. Well, listen, like we talked about last time, like the first correction for a behavior that's as like ingrained and as intense as that is always going to be the hardest one. So right there, you did need to be persistent, right? Like, hey, not working, not working, not working. And ultimately you got her where you needed to, right? So that was fantastic. Like I said, you did a really, really awesome job with that right there. So there's kind of two ways that I want you to go about handling this. So we have the management side of things, which is whenever we have the ability to working some sort of stationary command and getting her focused on us and not the trigger, right? And we're implementing a very firm, like I said, correction process if she doesn't do what it is that we want her to do. But we're also implementing a very, very high value reward process if she does the thing correctly, right? We want to make not reacting the greatest thing in the world and reacting the worst thing, right? So I would anticipate no different than you saw this morning when you needed to correct her for reacting out the door or the window or whatever it was. That next time you run into that situation, you'll probably still need to correct her, but it probably won't need to be as many times, right? You probably just need to give a couple of corrections and then she'll disengage and you'll see it just get less and less and less until you don't need to correct anymore for it. Now, the really, really cool thing about when you corrected for it out there was the fact that once she got the correction and fixed herself, her entire body language shifted, right? It was no longer fixated on the fence. I mean, she was locked onto you then at that point, which was fantastic. So I was very, very happy to see that. So your best bet is going to be if you could, like, over the course of the next couple of days, set that up again. You know what I mean? Like if you see him outside, be like, hey, like, do you mind if we do 5 minutes of this real fast or whatever it may be, where you could do it in a controlled fashion like that, where it's not so like random, at least to get a little bit more success until it is random, that would be really, really ideal. Once you get some success with working it with the bed stay, like you just did there, you're going to move to the stage of just letting her be free in the yard and only correcting for what it is we don't want her to do. So look at it the same as when you're in the house, right? When you're in the house, she's free to do whatever she wants to do. She just can't react out the window at stuff, right? So same exact process with that. And the long line is just for like emergency safety purposes. You shouldn't use it to ever pull her away from anything. You have to get her to disengage. That's like the most important part. She needs to make the decision to do it, right? And once you trust her a little bit more with this, I think you said your yard is totally fenced in. You could transition to obviously doing it no leash, and the exact same process would obviously apply.